I think grinders are always going to be something we talk about. All of these grinders, I can talk about all the gripes, all I want about all these grinders. They all have a sweet spot, every single one of them. What are we really doing here? I think we're wasting time. We're wasting time. We're wasting the mechanism of the coffee thing just so we can say we have 130 clicks. At the end of the day, you're just one with your coffee. You're trying to get one with your coffee. And as you test things out and figure them out, then that's where the magic really comes into play. Sweet spot. It's absolutely everything. Grinders. I think grinders are always going to be something we talk about. You know, they are. It's just because they're so important. They're so critical in all the things that we do. And it's cool to play with a new brewer from time to time, figure it out. It's always cool to just play around, geek out with that coffee of the week or coffee for a couple of days. But as we talk about coffee gear, one of the things that we, talk about here and there is grinders. And there's a video that I did earlier about how most grinders are bullshit, right? Which is still more so the same. But we have to work within those restrictions, limits, drawbacks, if you want to look at it that way. And I have some grinders in front of me. These grinders are not immune to this whole thing too. Some of them I'm not going to really touch just because I have a good setting that I have them at right now. So that's more so the situation. But I've been playing around with my new grinder. This is a hand grinder. This is the Clarity King, so to speak. And believe it or not, I have another grinder that I will be getting also. Just one more, right? And this is the Suppressor CP6. This is a $200 grinder, hand grinder. And for the past couple of weeks, I actually haven't been using it. I've been grinding coffee because a lot of times they say that after a certain amount of coffee, the grinder really does start to come alive. So I grinded some coffee for my wife. She had no clue. She doesn't care. And I used this grinder. I never really tasted the coffee, probably just once towards the end of me doing all of this. And it was very promising of what I tasted, I think. So then I started using it the past couple of days. And I've noticed that all of these grinders, I can talk about all the gripes, all I want about all these grinders. They all have a sweet spot, every single one of them, no matter what you're looking at here and there, right? And it's kind of interesting too, now that I'm talking about it, thought about it a little bit of yesterday, is that why do these grinding companies give you these bullshit readings, especially for like French press? I think most people don't even grind to a French press type of setting anyway. What I mean by that is that, for instance, let's take this CP6. I already know the settings. I know I'm on 4, so I can play around with it, right? So this is 0. Okay. You can't see that. Okay. That's fine. It's 0. Okay. Tell me, as I keep getting coarser and coarser, probably about 5.5, close to 6. These are boulders in your cup. Okay. 6 and beyond are completely, to me, garbage usage. Can't really use the grinder anymore. Again, I don't go on this whole thing of using anything that's like a French press grind, because percolation does need some type of time because it's so short with that particular grind size. So it's one of those things to where it's like, what are we really doing here? I think we're wasting time. We're wasting time. We're wasting the mechanism of the coffee thing just so we can say we have 130 clicks. More than half of them are useless. We know that, okay? But today what we're talking about is sweet spots. See, I have this natural coffee. This natural coffee is a medium roast that I roasted a couple of weeks ago. I've been testing it out. The smell is out of this world, like most coffee get right. The smell is just amazing. And that's pretty cool, right? But when you're trying to conquer and understand the coffee, especially using something like this, it gives you a different type of look and appreciation of that coffee. A lot of times we try to match the grinder with the coffee maker. And as we do that, then we start to realize is that for the most part, especially if we're a poorer type of people, that we tend to lean towards a particular grind size. And in this case, sweet spot. You don't need a TDS meter to know that you're going to have to grind a decent amount to get some type of uniformity in the cup of coffee. And in this case, I think the sweet spot for this particular grinder is between 5 and probably 3.5. So that's about 16 clicks. I haven't tried it on this finest setting, but most of us, we don't really even go that fine. We don't go crazy fine. I probably think I will probably get to a 2 on this particular grinder, depending if it's a light roast and whatnot. But I guess what I'm saying is that it has a sweet spot, a very defined sweet spot. And it's kind of crazy because this is mainly for pour over. So you would think that you'll have a little bit more range out there when you're actually using the particular grinder. But you don't. You have 2. So you have about 26 clicks. Let's say 4.5. 26, 3, about 16 to 20 clicks. That's where you're playing in. That's the realm that you're playing in. And if we understand that, then we're in better shape. But it's kind of crazy how this was made, designed, and everything. Every grinder, for the most part, is going to get the smoke. I don't care. If I like it, I like it. I like it. If I don't, I don't. I'll tell you the reason why. This one in particular, same thing. This one goes up to 120, 130. I would say, oh, have some coffee in there. Maybe we should brew it with it. Is that this King grinder K2 has a little bit more of a range just because it's trying to cover majority of the things that you're trying to do. And this one, you can pretty much do everything. It struggles at espresso, but it's possible. I'm sure that this one probably gets there too. But, you know, it is what it is, right? The K6 right here is probably the most versatile grinder that we have up here because just the way that the clicks are, right? Just the way that we see the clicks are. And I think I have it at a decent sweet spot. I think this one has a bigger, not less of a narrow sweet spot, but it's still there. All of them have it, right? Has it for espresso, has it for a pour over. I mean, pretty much every type of way that you're thinking of. But since this is a pour over type of monster right here, the CP6, the range is even smaller. I guess what I'm saying here is that every single coffee maker or coffee grinder has a sweet spot. You got to know where it is. You got to find it. You got to figure it out. You got to taste plenty of many of coffees, right? And as you do that, if you really think about it, you'll start to get pissed because you're looking at this whole grinder and you're like, what? Only got about a good 20 clicks of usable stuff. But okay, let's go beyond you being pissed. You've already paid your money. You know that a grinder has a sweet spot. And What do you do about it? The first thing you do is find it. Brew some cup of coffee. Test it out. Don't go on whatever everybody says online. Doesn't matter. They're not in your house. They're not with you. You're using a different coffee. Even if you're using the exact same, it doesn't matter whatsoever. You're using the gear that you have. It is what it is, right? At the end of the day, you're just one with your coffee. You're trying to get one with your coffee. And as you test things out and figure them out, then that's where the magic really comes into play. Because now, once you figure out that actual sweet spot, you just teeter back and forth. Play around with this grind size, that grind size, depending on the situation, depending on the water, chemistry, depending on the temperature, depending on the device and all that, depending on whatever you're tasting in the cup. If you want more of a sweetness balance, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. But that's all you're doing. You're just playing around with those sweet spots. And as you do that, then you can start to really understand that particular coffee. Because it's kind of crazy when you think about it, when you're actually grinding and brewing a cup of coffee, is that we want to play around with the gears. We want to play around with the mechanisms of what it does, right? But at the end of the day, if majority of the things that we're trying to do don't make sense, then we need to stop doing them. The sweet spot. I still go back to my fellow O2. Really like the grinder a lot. I'll talk about it another day. Have this own little assessment of coffees, what I'm tasting and the differences and all that stuff, because I'm getting really new to this whole clarity thing. Is that it's still the same way. And once I stopped beating myself up about not being able to use the full gamut of the grinder, I started to realize is that I can kind of get to that promised land a lot faster. So once we know that sweet spot, understand that particular grinder and what it does to our coffees, then we're in a better place, because now we can play that dance of like, okay, this is the range that I have to deal with. And this I know can make beautiful, decent cup of coffee. And once we're there, we're on the right path, right? We're on the path to where it's less about the gear. It's also about our, thinking about all the things together. And now we could play that real good dance of like doing that two-step or whatever hell that you may do when you actually come to dancing or making a cup of coffee, right? That makes any sense. Sweet spot. It's absolutely everything. And once we realize that every single grinder has a sweet spot, every single coffee maker has the pros and cons and drawbacks and things that we have to do in order to get there, I think we're going to be making a lot cooler coffee, fabulous coffees that we may be able to get everything from the bag that it says that it is. And once we get there and understand coffee, our lives are going to be better. Even just making a simple cup of coffee. So find that sweet spot. Don't be so dogmatic and like, oh, this person online told you that this is the best way to go about this coffee maker and all that stuff. Even me, I just told you that this is the sweet spot for this particular grinder, which I believe is what I just said. And once you find it, stay there, understand that coffee, grow with it, and then enjoy coffee. So this is not so much of a rant, but this is more so like a realization of you figuring out your coffee for what it is by using the grinder and knowing that it does have a sweet spot in this whole game that we're playing. So this is OK Everyday Being signing off. I'll talk to you later. Bye.